administering, and maybe himself, they were discussing about it, and the conclusion was that this guy was going to be an Akọ̀wé.
Wow, wow. And indeed, it turned out to be.
Yeah. So I mean, that was something. But in terms of, when did I decide to be a journalist? I think all the while, while in school, I've been fascinated with the idea of writing and also speaking. Besides playing soccer, which was was one of the best things that happened to us then. We just thought
I know.
But besides playing soccer, I actually love writing and also, public speaking. So when I got to the university, I wanted to, well, like many of us, if you're an art student, you wanted to read law, So yeah, I mean, I also wanted to read law. But it was taking time, trying to get into read law. And I said, okay, you know what? Let me just go and take a first degree, like they would do in America. And then after the first degree, I'll come and do law for a postgraduate. So I got into Ibadan. But no sooner I got into Ibadan, I started doing freelance writing. And at some point, my articles started getting published in The Guardian. Now, at that time, writing for The Guardian was, was so much of a big deal, because
that's right.
It was considered to be, the top-notch quality paper at the time. So when I started featuring in The Guardian, I started toying with the idea of actually being a journalist. Because of course, a very young child that I was then, much younger than I am now. We are still young, Pastor Peace, by the way. Don't let them tell you that we are
yes,
old.
Yes.
but much younger then. I got fascinated by I was seeing my name in print. Even as a university student, I was seeing my name in print, and I started thinking that this seems to be something that is exciting. So when I finished, instead of going back to law, I just went and did a master's degree in communication. Now, even before I did that, I already started featuring, on the top news pages of The Guardian. And then when I did the national service, I ended up in The Guardian. And even before I could finish the national service, I was offered, I think about 5 or 6 months into the national service, The Guardian offered me a full-time job as a staff reporter on the Sunday. So, I mean, I was just swept off my feet, and I said, look, I guess I'm just going to be.
Wow. Wow. For those of us that know you, and for many people also that will watch this or will yet watch this, we know that by the grace of God, you had or you have such a stellar stellar resume in journalism. The other thing that we want to ask you is that whilst in those days, as you started your career as a journalist, what would you say were the major or major highlight points in your career? I think we're having.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can, Pastor, but I think we are having network issues. It seems to be trying to connect every now and again.
Yeah, but I can hear you.
All right.
Can you?
We can see you, but then we can also hear you. So you can go on, sir.
All right, sir. So, so the question was, what were the pivotal moments? Is that the question?
Yes. I mean, in those days, as you started your career, obviously the way things were then is quite different from the way things are now. I mean, so what was it like getting into journalism, starting up in Guardian in those days? What were the like the pivotal, you know, times, and how was it for you that time?
Okay, thank you. So like I said, when I was doing my national service, and I went into the Guardian deliberately because I had made up my mind, you know, just before I graduated from Ibadan, that I was going to be a journalist. I already explained that. So I essentially targeted the Guardian. I remember that I told my classmates, you know, when we were graduating, that look, I'm not just going to be a journalist, but I'm going to be working in the union. And of course, you know, some laughed and some of them said, well, you know, you do. So I got in as a copper. I had my service, the part of it was in Castina State, but I got redeployed later on after the first part of it, the paramilitary training. I got redeployed to Lagos, and then I found my way to the Guardian. Now, before that time, I had been writing for the Guardian, you know, doing freelance reporting and even getting paid, you know, for some of my stories then. So I remember that when I now got to the Guardian and I wanted to report, I remember that the editors, you know, one of the editors who turned out to be one of my very great mentors, actually told me that, look, Laolu, you can't compete in this place. I mean, we have the best set of reporters in this country, and it was true, you know, and he reeled out the names. That, look, how do you think you can survive here? So he sent me back to the MD. You know, the MD was somebody, was Mr. Ladi Bonola, who told me that, look, we need historians in the newsroom. So I went back to tell Mr. Bonola. I said, well, the editor, Mr. Izeze, said that you know, that he doesn't think that I will be able to manage. And the MD asked me, said, do you want to be a reporter? I said, yes. Then go back to him. So this went on for like 2 weeks, going back from the MD to the editor. And then eventually, reluctantly, the editor agreed. The editor said, okay, well, come on, let's see. I mean, come and try your luck. So I joined. That was how as a copper, that was how they even put me on to be a reporter. They thought, you know, I remember that one of the editors told me that, look, I think you will be better in advertising. You know, one of the editors told me, he said, Laolu, I think you'll be better in advertising. I said, why? He said, because, you know, I mean, he said that to me that I think you have good looks. people will probably give you,
you'll be able to get across.
Probably make money. You probably make money, you know, in advertisement. You have some good looks, you know. I said, well, what I want to do is to report. Now, but to the glory of God, when the editor then of the Guardian on Sunday decided, they gave me the opportunity. Of course, I threw myself into it completely. And just about 3 to 4 months after I started, I can never forget, there was a night of production that the editor came out, his office, you know, the reporters gather in a place in the newspaper that is called a newsroom. That's where the reporters are. You know, there's a newsroom that all the reporters come. You write your story, you give it to the sub-editor, the sub-editor works on the story, you give it to the editor before it gets to the editor, and then it gets published. So this production night, I can never forget, the editor comes out, you know, and says to the other reporters in the room that, do you guys mean that if this young copper is not here, are you guys telling me that we're not going to be producing this paper? He said that because I started writing a lot of stories, front page stories, inside page stories. So one night he came out and said, what's going on here? Why are we depending on this guy for the story? Of course, you know, by this God, they gave me a permanent job even before I finished my NYC. So I became a staff reporter, even though I was a copper. So the editor now became, you know, one of my best mentors, kept pushing me out. And then, you know, you saw the influence that a reporter has. You know, the story that you did, you know, will shake people that you think are big. You know, I remember that I did a story, one of the major stories that I can't forget I did, I believe sometimes in 1990, was was about the University of Ibadan. You know, I mean, don't forget that I schooled in University of Ibadan. I did my first degree in Ibadan. I did my master's degree. So I already had a lot of contacts. So the vacancy for the position of vice chancellor, you know, and at that time, you know, to be the vice chancellor of the University of Ibadan was such a big deal. It was a big deal, very big deal. Yeah. So, but a lot of the professors who were interested to become vice chancellor, they were doing it in a very subtle way. It wasn't like an open campaign, you know. Anyway, I got the story that I think about 11 professors were interested in becoming vice chancellor. So I put the story out. And when I took the story to the guy, and they put it on the front page.
Wow.
I mentioned the names of all the professors who had shown interest in the job because I had my sources right, and you know, then it was publishing. So a lot of the professors, you know, then started calling. I said, no, how did you know? I'm not interested.
You shoot it down.
And you know, when that happened, I thought I was in trouble with my editor. I thought my editor was going to really harass me. I said, look, all the professors are saying they're not interested. But when I got to him, he said, what? He said, your story has created a major impact. And he actually congratulated me. Because, of course, it turned out, because I started following the story. I started following the story, who was selected, how they made the short list from 11 to 3, and then how the president eventually picked one out of the 3. You know, I kept on running the story. So I mean, I saw how one reporter can be a major influence. Even in the way I was telling the story, I was already telling the story that, look, these are front runners, you know, because I had all my sources. You know, there were other people that were giving me the information, and I was saying that these were the front runners, you know, and I was proven correct until the last 3. So when the last 3 was chosen, now the person that I had predicted in my report would come up first was the one that actually came up first, you know.
Wow.
So everybody had expected that it would be the one that the president would choose. But the president chose the third, the guy that came third, you know. So experiences like that. And then, of course, I also remember in 1992 when we, during the ASU strike. Now, if you remember the context in 1992 was the peak of
that's right.
Buhari administration. And one of the things, Babangida President Babangida was. 92 was the peak. That was the time he was supposed to hand over, but then he didn't hand over. He changed it to 92. Yeah. And the impression then was that the military government of military President Babangida had actually suppressed the entire Nigerian civil society, and that any in the civil society or non-government groups that came out against the government, then they were defeated, they were crushed, you know, either by compromising them or by doing other means, but no civil society group was able to prevail. But now enter the ASU strike. The ASU is the Academic Staff Union of Universities. So they started a strike, sometimes in the middle of 1992, if I get it correctly. Now I was now a correspondent in Ibadan. So I mean, and the headquarters of ASU was in Ibadan. So I was right in the heart of
right in the peak of things.
Exactly. In fact, I can reveal now today that one of the things that happened was that I had some professor friends who will sneak me into the ASU meeting.
All right.
So that,
all right.
I knew that even before they wrote their press release, even before they have their big congress and they ratify the
wow.
I already know what was going to happen.
You had an inkling into what was happening. That is exactly. Wow.
And
wow.
So when I heard the story, you know, the next day, and they say that thing is going to happen next week, and then I have already written it this week, and then people see that next week that thing actually happened. You know, it gave me a lot of credibility inside the newspaper and outside the newspaper. And the interesting thing was that we followed that ASU strike so closely. We were predicting how the strike was going to go on, and even when the strike was going to end, we predicted it. You know, when former head of state Obasanjo, he was the one that settled the dispute between ASU and the Babangida government. So we were the one that broke the story that, look, this strike is going to be over because Obasanjo is now holding talks with the government and holding talks with the ASU leaders. So for the first time, the ASU people were able to defeat the military government. It was, you know, at that time, it was such a big deal because the military government succumbed to virtually maybe like 90% of what ASU was asking for.
Demanding.
Because of the strike and the way, by the grace of God, we were able to follow and report the strike and turn it into a national issue.
All right. So, Pastor, can I ask you something real quick? In all that you have relayed now, what an intriguing story. In all that you have relayed now, something is coming to me. I mean, for those of us that read newspapers, try to follow the trend of what is happening, obviously, like you've explained now, there's so many things that happen behind the scenes that now comes onto into the dailies and these days onto the news. Can you, as a true journalist that we know that you are, can you actually tell us that is it true or false that there is the truth and there is the false that is being published? Because in all that you relate now, obviously you did your due diligence, got the news and got it out there. But what if the youthful exuberance, trying to make a name for yourself, you know, there may be a possibility of putting one or two things out there that was not really true?
Well, you know, at least when we were active in reporting, I mean, God helps you if your story is effectively denied. You know, only God will help you. Like, for instance, I told you, when I started writing the story about the 11 professors who are interested in the position of vice, you know, some of them denied. You know,
exactly.
My editor believed that, you know, I know what I'm doing, so he kept me on the story, and it was because he took that chance on me that my stories eventually showed that each and every one of them actually had an interest.
You had it. It was credible news.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is that at that time, it's the kind of stuff that is happening now. It was very unthinkable then. You were even afraid. I mean, even when you wrote the story and it's correct, you were afraid. You know, you don't know, you know, what your editors are going to say, whether they're just going to throw it out. You know, so and in the Guardian, the process, the gatekeeping procedures were very rigid. So when you bring in a story as a reporter, there's what
you must know what you're saying.
The sub desk. Yeah, there's the sub desk. The sub desk is where they will question your sources. They will question your. As a matter of fact, before that, the first thing is that you will present a story and say, "I want to do this story," at an editorial meeting. You know, that time I was with the Guardian on Sunday, so we normally had our editorial meeting every Tuesday. When you are presenting the story, the editor and the other journalists in the place, they will ask you tough questions.
Wow.
Tough questions, even to a point that you should go and investigate it. So you could bring three stories, ideas. Maybe it's only one that will survive the kind of questions that they're going to give you.
Wow.
That how do you know this?
Really?
Know that? Can you get this?
Wow.
Can you get that? So now when you now go out and bring the story, there is a sub desk. And the work of the sub desk is to check everything. They will check your facts. They will check your accuracy. You know, they will check your grammar.
Wow.
And then if you, I mean, many stories die there. Many stories.
At that stage. At that stage.
Yes, many stories, you know, I mean, I've seen reporters, you know, virtually crying. You know, when,
and this is after they must have done a lot of work.
Yeah. Somebody just say, "What's this? How can you bring this cock and bull story here?" They just throw it away. So the sub-editors will have to deal with your story before it now goes to the news editor. You know,
wow.
And then it is the news editor that push it to the editor, which is the final stage. So,
wow.
so I mean, it was very difficult for mess around with all of those structures. So I can tell you that, you know, by the grace of God, all through my reportorial experience, you know, you took your accuracy, you took your objectivity, and your due diligence. You just have to do it and get your story very, very right.
Wow.
Wow. Story very right.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
And that must have some.
Wow. Awesome. Okay. So the next thing we want to ask you, Pastor, because we all the questions we have for you this evening, we must try and get them through you, and you have to answer them for us, sir. The next one is that I know, if I'm right, that around about the mid-90s, if I'm correct, you left Nigeria and you headed to the United States. What informed that relocation?
Well, I guess that the long and short of that was that I actually had to find my way out of the country, because
wow.
Now after I left Guardian, I went to join some of my senior colleagues to start the news magazine. Now, for those who don't know,
wow.
the news magazine was founded in 1993.
Wow.
By I think 4 or 5 very serious, some radical journalists led by Bayo Onanuga, Babafemi Ojudu, Kunle Ajibade, Dakwolo Yomi, and Shea.
Wow, we're going into some deep waters tonight. Wow.
Yeah, these were journalists that actually practically defied the Babangida regime. Practically defied. I mean, they called off the Babangida government. They were leaders in how the media fought against military dictatorship.
Wow, this is the renowned news magazine.
Exactly. So after the death of Dile, you were the guys that actually took that space. You know, some very we call them pro-democracy journalists.
Wow.
So they did a story where they were because they were in the Concord, owned by MK Abiola.
That's right.
Who was considered to be very close to Babangida. So they did a story. I can't remember the title of the story. One very critical story about Babangida. And Babangida didn't like the story. Babangida, being friends with Abiola, then moved against the African Concord, which was the publication that did that story, and demanded that Bayo Onanuga and the rest should apologize. You know, otherwise he was not going to let go of the paper. Well, Abiola did ask Bayo Onanuga and the rest to apologize, and they said no, that they were not going to apologize. So they left the paper instead. Now they went to found the news magazine. I was still with the Guardian, and they invited me to be their senior writer. I took the offer for 2 reasons. Number one, I loved the fact that they were able to stand up against military dictatorship. I loved that you had people courageous enough, bold enough,
who were willing to take a stand.
To tell off the military president who many people believe was just messing with the destiny of Nigeria. So I like that. So I applied, and they took me. And then the second reason I took it, I must tell you, was because the salary they offered me was ×3 what I was getting in the Guardian.
Wow.
For a young,
you see now,
practically maybe I was 24, 23. You know, they tripled my salary. I said, what? I'm going to take this job.
So you packed and you went.
So I went. Now, so I gave you that background just so you understand the kind of terrain that journalists are operating in. So when we started the news, I think just within a year or so that the news started, the news was proscribed. The news was proscribed. It became, they made a law to say that the publication of the news is illegal. So we changed. Then we started Tempo, and Tempo became an underground weekly, and it was selling like hotcakes.
Wow.
You know, so left we left you know, operating on the surface. We became what was then known as guerrilla journalists. So I worked with them. Eventually, I left because I just got fed up with Lagos traffic and the stress of living in Lagos. I had just gotten married. I said, look, I think I need a saner place to enjoy my new wife and raise a family. So I went back to Ibadan. So I went to Ibadan. Then I joined Nigerian Tribune as a special projects editor. At least about 2 years after the news. But of course, in the place, I continued that pro-democracy, anti-military streak of journalism. So in 1997, you know, by this time, I was now the editor of the Tribune on Saturday. And by the way, I became editor.
What a position to have been editor.
Yeah, to the praise and glory of God, I became an editor in my 20s, the editor of a newspaper.
Wow.
And you know, one of the youngest editors ever in the history of Nigeria. You know, so of course I continue to use the paper to push against the military. And then of course Babangida left. Babangida left by this time. Babangida left in 1993. We now had Abacha. You know, it was even a much worse dictatorship. I mean, people thought that Babangida's dictatorship was terrible. Abacha's one was even much more despicable.
Another level. So
the battle continued. Now, Abacha had a deputy. His name was Dia. Dia is alive. Now, when Dia became deputy, he appointed my brother-in-law as his chief security officer. So, I mean, and then Dia got into trouble with Abacha. And there was a day they were going to bomb Dia's jet. So before Dia got on the jet, you know, the bombing took place just before he got on the jet. Presidential jet. So he aborted the trip. But these were people, these were Abacha's goons that put the bomb in Dia's official head. So I did a story. Who was Dia dead?
Wow.
I did a story in Saturday. I was the editor of the report. We had a reporter here in Abuja then, you know, our bureau chief, you know, so he wrote a story. I put it on the front page. Who was Dia dead? Big story.
Well, that was in Tribune.
That was in Tribune. Tribune Saturday. Turns out that the day that I published that story was the day the military government of Abacha announced that Dia had planned a coup.
Wow.
I remember.
Wow.
I remember driving the street of my wife. That I think it was a Saturday when they announced that Dia had been involved in a coup.
Wow. And the same day, your wow.
Exactly. I had no idea at all.
You were just doing.
I was driving on Bodija Street.
Wow.
I was driving on Bodija Street with my wife. So I removed the because I had a badge on my car that said press. I parked and I sort of put off. I pulled off that tag. I said, look, I think we have.
What happened to the boldness of pro-democracy journalism?
So I remember that by the following week, my editor-in-chief, Mr. Uduole in Tribune, I was the editor of Tribune Saturday. He was the editor-in-chief of all the titles in Tribune. He told me that I was in trouble.
Hey.
But he said that, you know, that he doesn't think they're going to arrest me now, but I can be sure that I was in big trouble. Because then it turns out that the guy, you know, my brother-in-law, who was Dia's chief security officer, was also arrested for the coup. They arrested Dia, they arrested him, and everything.
Wow.
So I started planning my escape. I said I have to find a way to get out of the country. Anyway, long story short, that was how I left the country. In 1998, I left the country and I got my wife and my children. That was how I became a political ex in the United States. Where I eventually became a pastor.
So, but really and truly, Pastor, I'm sure that you must have had, even at that point, even when you left, from your credible sources, I'm sure you must have had that they were perhaps looking for you, or or harm, trying to get hold of you?
Well, to be very honest about it, my editor-in-chief had very good connection with the military government,
Wow.
and he was giving some intel. So he told me that that he doesn't think they're going to arrest me yet, because I don't know whether they found out that there was no connection between what I did and what happened.
And what had happened. Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't going to stay around to find out. I wasn't going to stay around.
Wow.
Now,
so there's a difference between the boldness of the pen and the boldness of the mind.
well, you have to. I mean, I just made up my mind that, look, I don't think I want to end up in somebody's gulag. Now, but what happened was that when I eventually left the country, the week after I left, in fact, no, the same week, I think I left the country on a Monday. Now, by Friday, the guy who took my position
as the editor.
So I.
Oh, we're having connection issues. Wow. Just when we are getting to the peak of what Pastor Laolu is sharing with us. Please bear with us. I'm sure the network will kick in again. We still have several questions for him that he needs to answer within this next 20 minutes. Pastor Laolu seems to have been disconnected there. We are going to get him back in. Wow, what a story. What a story, what a story, what a story. 1 second, okay. Okay, we're just waiting for Pastor Laolu to come back in. All right, here he is again. Here he is again. Pastor, is it not interesting that you actually went offline when you were talking about how you disappeared? So I'm not saying the connection, but I just, it just seems to be such a, just when you were enjoying your, people are laughing here, People, I can see people laughing. Pastor Abi just, he just wrote out the quote, my quote. There's a boldness between the boldness of the pen and the boldness of the mind. Wow. So you were saying something, Pastor, please continue.
That was how I left the country. Yeah. So of course, took my position. Acting editor was arrested, and I think it was.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you well, Pastor. You need to maybe, yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me? Is it better now? Is it better now?
Yeah, I think the network is not allowing us to enjoy this as much as possible. But
hello, can you? Well, I can hear you.
We can hear you
very well.
Okay, sir.
Can you hear me?
Please continue. We can hear you, even though your image is not really stable, but we can hear you. So I think we'll just do with your voice.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was how I should work on it. Hello. Is it better now?
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yeah. So long story short, that was how I left the country in 1998. Relocated to the US, and of course I got my family out of the country also.
Okay. Would you say at that time, obviously you missed the day-to-day engagement in being in the newsroom and all the things that you did passionately? What was it that you missed the most?
I didn't quite miss the lot because when I got to the US, I just continued with my journalism practice now.
Okay, we are still having issues with. Okay.
Yeah. Before I left, hello, can you hear me?
It's really it's kind of intermittent. It's breaking quite a bit. Wow, and we're just I mean everybody's just commenting that they are really enjoying this episode. Okay, and we are going to ask that you immediately we finish this episode, we are going to ask that you use your clout to make sure that the network must get better in the confines of where you are there, sir. And by the way, you are coming back on Friday.
I can.
So you better, I need you to do something about that. You're coming back on next Friday. We are going to have you to talk to us about June 12th. Can you hear me, sir? Oh, we're having issues with this connection.
Hello.
And people are really enjoying this session.
Maybe I should use.
Hello, Pastor, are you there?
I'm here.
All right.
Let me use our phone.
Please just continue, sir. I think we will do well with your voice.
I'm trying to do the network. Is it better now?
Yeah, we can hear you. So I would say maybe you just continue to talk.
Can you hear me?
Oh, the network is pretty bad. People are about to. The network. Someone is saying that I bind this network. Hey, try. No, I think he's using it to. Okay, Dio.wolf. I'm sure Pastor is using his phone. He's using his phone. Yeah. Hey. Try using your phone instead. He's using his phone. You're on your handset, Pastor, I believe. All right, we're just going to give Pastor Laolu a moment. I'm sure they're doing everything possible to get the network sorted. Wow, what an interesting story. Wow, what an interesting story. And this is, I mean, for me, this is just the stories. Share their stories. I mean, as close as I am with Pastor Laolu, we have been friends since we were 4, 5, 6 years old. I mean, I've not had this dimension of story before, like I'm hearing it this evening. So I just can't thank God enough for this opportunity to have him come up this evening and just be a blessing to us. Okay. Let's try and do this again. So I'm trying to add him back now. Don't go away. Don't go anywhere. I can see 1 or 2 people. All right.
Okay, I'm back.
Good. Wonderful. Wonderful. This is great. And it is even clearer. Wow, 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 wow. Awesome. Well done. And thank you to your team and the people behind the scene that try to make it happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So please go on, carry on, sir.
So that was how I left the country. So to the question of whether I missed anything, well, I did miss a lot, because as soon as I got to the US, I started practicing journalism again. I joined the Philadelphia Inquirer, which at that time was the 7th largest newspaper in the United States, and that was
Wow.
because while I was editor, in Nigeria, I had made contact with quite a few of American journalists, and when I
And
got to
this is
the
not
US, I
even
just
knowing
contacted
that
them
you're
and
not
they
going to look over.
say that again.
I said, not knowing that in the process of time, you are going to go over there.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So I joined Philadelphia Inquirer. They made me they made me an offer, gave me an appointment. It wasn't full-time appointment, but I said, if this is how much you pay for part-time, it's good enough. So I started writing for Philadelphia Inquirer, and then 2 years later, I left for New York when I got a full-time job with New York Newsday, and that was where I was
Wow.
for a longer time. So I didn't quite miss journalism. As a matter of fact, I also started to report for the Guardian as their foreign correspondent in the United States.
Yes.
No sooner I got to the United States, and I actually reported for the Guardian all the way until I left the US in 2015. Yeah.
Wow. Someone was asking this, there's a person here, Dio, and the person was asking that you did not conclude the bit where you were talking about the person that took over from you at the Tribune.
Yeah. The name of the guy is Femi Adioti, by the way. He was the one that acted, when I left. And I said that he was arrested. He was arrested about a week after I left. I don't remember how he was eventually released. Now, I don't know whether it was me they were looking for or whether it was just a coincidence. But when I heard the story in the US, I said, thank God I'm out of Abacha's ham way.
Hey. Woo. So you got to the US and then you continued your journalism, and then you were still writing for Guardian. So you were pretty much just busy, just that you were not. So how did you get into? So how did you get into pastoring?
Oh, okay. So when we got to New York, I told you that I was with Philadelphia Inquirer for 2 years, and then I got a full-time job because my job with Philadelphia Inquirer was basically a part-time job. But I got a full-time job with New York Newsday, and so they flew me down to New York, Long Island, by the way, Long Island, New York, and
that's right.
So I got a full-time job. As a matter of fact, they provided accommodation for me for 1 year, and then after the second year, I got a house of my own by the grace of God. Now, so I continued as a reporter, a journalist. Now, actually, I was a copy editor with Newsday, and then I also I got other gigs. There was a time I also did some consultancy work with the United Nations. But when I got to New York, that was when I joined. This was 2000 now. 2000. That's when I joined the Redeemed Christian Church of God in New York. That was when I joined. And now I remember that the church that the parish that we were attending was about like 34 miles. We had to drive every Sunday 34 miles from Long Island. There was no parish in Long Island then, but there was a parish that was very around JFK. That was the closest to us. So we were going there. And then one Sunday, the pastor said, well, in this church, we need workers, and we have all of you guys here. Nobody is, why are you guys not volunteering to work? And then he went on a long speech. At the end of the day, he said that if you want to join a worker and work for God, please stand up, something like that. And then without consulting me, my wife got off.
Pastor Mumi.
I was trying to pull her back and say, hey, do you know what it means to be a worker? 34 miles every day. So anyway, so she got up. I didn't get up that Sunday because I was saying that, look at this, my darling wife, for God's sake, why did you get up? So so you have to resume the next Sunday. You have to join the workers meeting, which is maybe like 1 hour or even 1.5 hours before the service. So I had to decide that am I going to allow my wife to be going to church separately and then I'll be coming later? It was a very tough decision because I used to enjoy Meet the Press with Tim Russell. That was one of the best American journalists. He had a program that was, I think it started at 10:30 or 9:30. It was 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. on Sunday morning. Meet the Press, Tim Russell. I mean, I used to enjoy that program. So I get dressed, but I don't leave the house until Meet the Press was over. But now here was my wife now committing to go and join workers, and then we have to get to church at 8 a.m. We have to get to church at 8 a.m. So I said to myself, okay, I'm not just going to let my wife alone go and do this stuff, that let me just go and encourage her. That was how I sacrificed
just
the
courage.
Yeah, I said, let me encourage her. I was just be also sitting down there, the pastor can, and then before you know it, the pastor got me involved, I mean, gave me assignments, they were going to build a new church, and he set up an anniversary committee to raise money and stuff like that, made me the chairman of that committee. We raised some very good money, and then after the event, he brought me to the front of the church and said, this committee that this man is heading, do you guys want us to dissolve it or it should continue? And everybody said, yes, let it continue. So the man said to me that now I'm the permanent chairman. He said, you are the permanent chairman of the building committee.
Permanent chairman.
So that was how I joined. I became a worker. And then I think about 3 years after that, the decision was taken to open a new parish in Long Island. So now this was about 5 miles from where we lived. So we joined that new parish, and the pastor, Pastor Luafemi, then asked me that he wanted me to be his assistant. At this time, I was only a worker. Where we had done workers training, previously. So he said that he wanted me to be the assistant. So I became his assistant pastor. When he was not around, he asked me to preach. I started preaching. I believe in August of 2003, I started preaching when he's not around. And 4 years after, we started Jesus Friend Assembly in Long Island. And then, of course, that was how I became the pastor. In Bayshore, exactly.
Bayshore.
That was how I became the pastor.
Wow, awesome. Wow. So the next thing I want to throw at you, Pastor, within the confines of the few minutes that we have. Oh man, God is our help. What would you say are the lessons that you have learned in your different seasons in life? Very quickly, because you need to take 1 or 2 more questions before you go. Then you need to commit to the June 12 program.
All right. I think the most important lesson, that I have learned is what many people will not easily. I mean, we don't own up to that part of the scripture that talks about the fruit of the Spirit. It's endurance. Endurance. Wow. Endurance is, it's as if you're not patient, you can't wait enough for God to do what He wants to do at His own time. And it's interesting that the guy that I work for now, he's also a pastor. The vice president has a very famous sermon that he preached, Farah Ballet. One of the greatest lessons that I've learned in life is to be very patient. Like when you are patient, you give God the space to do what He wants to do and the time that He wants to do it. And when God does it, nothing can be added to it. Nothing can be taken away from it, because God behaves that way to put fear in the heart of men. Endurance is the greatest lesson I've learned. Number one. The other part is hard work. Honestly, I don't consider myself to be, like like they will tell you that, oh, I came first, I came, the best that I did, when I was in school was, I think I was third, mid third position when I was in Form 4 or something.
You were a stellar student there when all of us were playing football.
Well, not quite. That's what I'm saying. That not quite, but hard work. I found out that if you work very hard, you can actually outpace, many people. I find out that many people are not willing to work hard. And I find out that each time somebody works hard, put in just a lot of time doing what you are doing, a lot of concentration and focus, I found out that more often than not, you're going to come to the top. One way or the other, I guess it's the sweat of hard work that creates its own voice and takes you way further. So I've learned the lesson that hard work really
I hope my team members are hearing that. Okay, my team members are capturing. Please go on, Pastor.
Yeah. And the third thing I think is courage. I think it's courage. The scripture says, I believe in the book of Revelation says that, among the people, that will, I'm trying to remember how the scripture put it, that, among those that God will make it or something, I'll tell that scripture in Revelation. It talks about boldness. You got to be bold.
Yes.
You have to have courage in this world. You have to have courage. You have to have courage, because if you don't have courage, you might just die without being able to voice yourself. You have to have courage to express yourself, and not do it in a brash way and not do it in a rude way, but in a way that is respectful, but at the same time firm. You have to have courage that right will always prevail over wrong. Now you may need a lot of patience, you may need a lot of endurance, but the right.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. All right. So you were saying, awesome. Endurance, courage, hard work. Awesome, hard work. Awesome. Go ahead, sir.
Well, yeah. So I of course we could talk some more, but of course those three are key, and then try to get a skill. I'll tell you a story. So when I left Philadelphia in Quera to go to New York.
In
Long Island, New York. Long Island, New York is a place that is, as you know, is a place that is likely white, and
that's right. That's right.
It's a suburb of of the rich, basically.
That's right.
So when I got a job in the in Newsday, I was just among the very few black people in the newsroom. I remember one other black journalist there, who told me that, look, don't ever think that they will give you a job because they like you. They will only give you a job because you bring value to the table. They don't like your face, really. He said they don't need to like your face. That you got, he told me that you got a job because they made a determination that you had value, you had skills that is on the table. That nobody gave you this job because they like your face or even because of affirmative action. That if it's affirmative action, do you know several people who could have qualified? And so I learned a lesson that, look, if you have value, if you have value, you will always be valued. And so it's good to have a skill. Have a skill and nest your skill. Apply that skill as much as possible. And with the blessing of the Lord, you go places.
Awesome. Wow. So, Pastor, I mean, we're just loving this and enjoying this. And it's interesting that now that we've reconnected, we're having a good flow of network. Exactly. So there you were in New York, and thank you so much. Thank you for hosting us in Bayshore, myself and my family. Beautiful memories. Thank you for friendship.
Praise God.
So there you are in New York, and then you just building a family, carrying on with journalism, also a pastor. How did you balance it all out? And this would lead to the next question that I'm going to throw you.
Well, the way I look at it is that when you are young, and God has blessed you with a skill, and has also created opportunities for you, you really have to apply yourself very, very hard. You have to apply yourself very, very hard. Now, when you came to the US, I had my job as a college professor. I don't know whether you remember. I was teaching.
I remember. Yeah.
I was teaching in 2 colleges. The State University of New York.
And
exactly. So I had 2 teaching jobs. I was teaching Africa political history in the State University of New York, and I was teaching communication and public speaking in Suffolk County Community College. Wow. Now, I was also a pastor of the church, and I was also a reporter, and so people will ask me that, is it because you're trying to make a lot of money that you have 3 jobs? I said, not quite. I said, and this is where I see it. When you are young, you have to put in everything you have.
Wow.
Because
can we hear that?
That is when you can define yourself. That is how you can chart your own future. And quite honestly, you don't even know how it is going to turn out. You don't know how it's going to turn out. But you never waste your time waiting for Godot. There must be something. And I tell some of my younger ones, I said, look, if you have gone as far as to a university and you graduated, there must be something you can do. There must be something you can do. You must find something to do. You must go and get a skill and then begin to apply yourself. So I mean, to the grace of God, because we shouldn't just think it's all about us, but you have to create something for God to bless. It's important. Whatever we do as believers, under the grace and mercy of God, will be blessed. But then, if you have 0, God cannot bless 0. I mean, there's no way to bless 0. You got to put something on the table. Whatever it is that you put on the table, God will bless it. That is our story. Know to do something, and God will bless it. And we thank God. I must tell you that entirely that if you look at my own story so far, I believe that there's still more ahead, because like I said, we are very young, please. I mean, I never accept that I'm old at all.
Very young.
50 is the new 25, Pastor Chris.
We just started.
I'm telling you, but we have seen the hand of God, and we have seen the favor of God, and we have been blessed.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. So here you are, Pastor Laolu Akande, from Yemetu to Loyola to UI, and then to Guardian, to News, to Temple, to Tribune, then to the US, and now special assistant in the presidency of the great nation of Nigeria. So how did that happen? How did you get to meet the VP, and how did that happen?
I think that was purely the hand of God. A few months after the vice president picked me for the job, I had to ask him, I said, why did you pick me, sir? Because I knew that there were tons of more qualified people around him. Tons. And it seems to me that it's God.
Wow.
It says to me that it's God.
Wow.
So that's the summary of the story. Now, what I remember that I did was that I made up my mind when we were hearing the possibility of the merger between the mainstream of politics in Southwest and Northern progressive elements, and then that merger happened, and then they picked then General Buhari as their candidate. I told my wife, I said, once they pick General Buhari as the candidate, that I'm going to support the campaign. And then about a month later, General Buhari now picked Professor Yemi Osinbajo as his vice presidential candidate. I remember I was in the room with my wife when we heard the news. I told my wife, I said, you know what, I'm going to Nigeria. He said, why? I said, if they had the presence of mind to pick somebody like Professor Osinbajo as the vice president, I think something good is about to happen in that country. And I had always prayed all through my stay in the US. I had one constant prayer point. I said to God, I said, if there is ever going to be a government that will attempt a reform in Nigeria, that I wanted to be part of it. I prayed that prayer from 1998 until 2014, when
I'm just getting this.
So when Professor Osinbajo was speaking as running, I told my wife, I said, I think God is about to answer my prayer. And so I went, I joined the campaign. I met Professor Osinbajo, and the interesting thing was that when he met me, he said, my brother, welcome home. We met once before when he came to the US, to attend one conference. We had that meeting just once.
Yeah,
So I joined the campaign. We started doing the work, we spent some time, go back to the US and then come back, was with him during the election. We won the election, and as they say, the rest is history. I actually asked him, I said, I want to work on your team, whatever you have for me, I want to be part of your communication team. And he said, let's see how it goes. So I mean, I believe it was God that made it possible.
Wow.
But I was inspired to get up and leave the United States because they picked Professor Yemi Osinbajo. I thought that if somebody like that gets that kind of a position, then I said to myself, I think we can start to work at something in rebuilding Nigeria, which has always been my prayer passion for 15 years.
I was going to come to that, but there's something real quickly that I really want you to touch on. I understand and I appreciate your what you do and your position, but something is just really coming to me real quickly, because there are people that are listening and they're like, there's always a connecting dots in the journey of destiny. There's someone that meets somebody, there's someone that connected to somebody. So the question is, I appreciate the place where you were sitting with Pastor Wumi, and then, you know, like Abby was just typing on the screen now. Pastor Abby was just typing that, wow, discernment.
Yes.
So, you know, you just felt, you know what, I need to make a move. I want to be part of this. And then you started planning to return back to Nigeria. So my question is, when did, you know, what was, what am I trying to put across? The synergy of how you got to meet the VP. So who was it? You know, how did that happen? Did you just land in Nigeria, just went straight to his house? You know, there's always a connecting dot.
Yes, that's true. Now, don't forget that I've been a journalist, you know, all of my life, whether it was in Nigeria or in the United States. So I have quite a number of, you know, let's say influential friends, you know, so you can call and say, how do you do this? How do you get this? How do you, so there are people. So for instance, the first time I came, you know, there was somebody that knew Prof. So I told the person, you know, one of my very, you know, longtime friends, you know, a female pastor who had also preached, by the way, in who had also preached in Jesus Friends Assembly. So I said, you know, I'd like to set up a meeting with Prof. So she called him. She called him right there and so this female pastor called Prof while I was there in our house. She said, so she asked him, said, do you know Laolu Akande? And Prof said, of course, I know Laolu Akande from New York. So she told him that he is in town and he likes to meet you. And Prof said, oh, of course, that he will welcome me. So Prof knew that I was in town. And then I also had friends around his campaign, you know, some of my senior colleagues in the media, who also told me that, okay, this is how to see him. You can meet him in so place. And you know, since he was also aware that I was in town, he set up an appointment, and we met. We actually met in his parish. That was the first time we met when I came to join the campaign. And I remember that we campaigned together all of the day, you know, and of course, you know, the rest is history, as they say.
Awesome. And you know, you are just opening up a lot of things. Even for me as a friend, there's so many things that that is just opening up in my spirit. And we just thank you for just sharing, and we're just really blessed. Someone put something up here, Pastor, and the person is saying that even though, you know, we don't want this to be a kind of like a political passion, I knew some of that is going to come. Okay, we're going to try and get Pastor Laolu back. I think he, okay. Bear with me a second. I'm just trying to just see if we can get Pastor Laolu back. All right. Okay. Okay, I have him now. All right, we're trying to get him back. Okay. All right. You're back. I know you will have to. Sorry?
I said this disconnection was my fault. I just pressed the wrong button.
All right. Okay. So, Pastor, someone just wanted you to mention quickly. You know, I know we are steering away from this being kind of like a political kind of discourse, but I knew that there was going to be one or two questions that we're going to throw your way. Someone just asked that, how come and when are we going to be seeing all the effort that is going on or rather, why are we not seeing as much effort in the building process? Can you hear me, sir?
No, I didn't hear that. Can you say that again?
All right. Somebody was asking a question that, how come we are not seeing, the person was saying, why are we not seeing the rebuilding going on right now in Nigeria? That the rebuilding effort that you're telling us about, that was really the reason why you came back home. You wanted to be part of a government that is progressive, a government that will effect a change. So this person is asking that, why are we not seeing as much as this effort? I know you and I talk a lot about this, but you know.
Yeah, well, you know, the truth of the matter is that indeed there's a lot of reform that is going on, and I'll give you quite a few of some of the reforms. Now, for the first time, I believe in the history of this country, you have twice between 2015 and now, the World Bank does a report that they call the ease of doing business ranking. Now, of course, you know, we had gone up, you know, several places. I think about maybe over 20 places. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Albeit that it's still a little bit. We can hear you a bit bumpy, but we can hear you, sir.
Okay. So I was saying that.
You were talking about the World Bank report.
Yeah. Twice in the last 4 years, the World Bank had said of the reforms in Nigeria, have said that Nigeria is one of the 10 economies in the world that is undergoing positive reforms. World Bank has said that twice. Now, if you look at the way the budget is structured, until the Buhari presidency came in, previous government were spending like 9%, 10%, 11%, 12% on infrastructure, capital expenditure. We raised it to 30. And the reason why we raised it to 30 is because we found that there's a huge infrastructural deficit in this country, be it in rail. In fact, rail was basically, you know, completely out of it, or even in power. And even though we are not where we thought we should be or where we want to be, there's still a lot of ways to go. But there has been tremendous improvement. Look at the rail. We have completed the Lagos to Ibadan rail as we speak. It's done. And we're going to take it all the way to Kano. We've done the Itakpe Alaja rail. It's done as we speak right now. We are almost finishing the second Niger bridge, which previous governments have expended a lot of money without doing nothing. As a matter of fact, there's a video that is trending right now as we are speaking of one Igbo chap who just couldn't get over himself seeing the amount of work that has been done in that bridge. We have revitalized 22 fertilizer blending plants. 22 fertilizer blending plants in the last 4 years. We have reduced the price of fertilizer from 11,000 naira to 5,500. We have an anchor borrowers program, you know, that has given loan to smallholder farmers, you know, running to over 200 billion, and I think about 1.5 million farmers. We have engaged a social safety net for the Nigerian people, the first in the history of this country. I mean, many of our viewers live in the Western world. There is always a social.
We're still having, okay, I think the network again.
Social investment program. And And one of the things that we are doing under the social investment program, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, we have created a situation where if somebody is extremely poor, if you are considered to be extremely poor,
we're still having a bit of network issues. Network. I mean, there's so many things that we want to put across to Pastor Laolu. Someone is just asking now that have there been put in place a maintenance culture in place for all these things? And how about our health sector? There's so many things that we would really want to put across to him as we are afforded this opportunity. Okay. Yeah. You know, there's so much that because we hear what we are hearing, but the truth of the matter is that a lot of these things are said, but right on the grassroots, really, people want to, okay, we're waiting for, that is where we want to be feeling the impact of all this great work that we are told that is being done. And perhaps it's best suited to tell us really why we are not seeing these things that we ought to see. Okay, we're still waiting for him to, connect. All right, and this person is asking again. This person has a, I feel the passion of this person. This person is asking again that why are we having to borrow again? That the budget, so that the budget can be passed. I feel your passion. Okay. Okay, we're just trying to get him to come back in and finish off what he was sharing with us. One of the challenges we have with yes, I have accepted the request. All right, Pastor, I'm getting that we are waiting for you to get on. I've added you. Let's do this again. Okay. The renovation for the house is more than what was passed for the whole health sector in Nigeria. I feel your passion. We're still waiting for him to come on. He isn't able to join. Okay. Bear with us a moment. I'm just trying to get him go live. Yeah. Okay. I think we've lost the connection for one reason or so. We're going to give him another moment to see if we can get him on. Network issues. Bear with us. Okay. Okay, now. Okay. All right. Okay, we're still trying to get Pastor Laolu back on. Okay. He isn't able to join. All right, so I reckon that he's having quite a few network issues where he is. So folks, we just want to appreciate you for hanging in there this evening. We are going to continue this discourse. I am looking at the possibility of us continuing this discourse on Friday the 12th, just in commemoration of June 12th, which has become renowned for the fight for democracy in Nigeria. So for those of us that have passion for that great country, so we want to look at the opportunity of having one or two programs that day just to talk about the place of advocacy, the place of democracy, and the place of representation, really, because we know that the heart of the crux of June 12 was the heart of the great man, Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, the drive that he had to effect a change in Nigeria. And so we're going to try and see what we can do on the 12th of June. So please watch this space. And one more time, thank you for staying the course with us this evening. We're grateful for your time and the opportunity to be able to share with you this evening. Thank you so much. And it is our prayer that God will be mindful of you and all that concerns you. For folks that are in Nigeria, we say God bless Nigeria and all the work that the government is doing at this time. We may have our differences, but our prayer continues to be that the nation Nigeria shall be a great nation in the name of Jesus. And so thank you for spending time with us this evening. And like I said, we will let you know what we are able to pull together for next Friday. But in the midst of that, we're still going to have an episode of Seasons next Tuesday. So God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. God bless.